you doing, everybody? I'm Ken Bykoff, and welcome to O'Neill Speaks, the official podcast of the Paul H. O'Neill School of Public and Environmental Affairs at Indiana University. The O'Neill School has a well-earned reputation of producing graduates who make a difference by leading for the greater good. Now, that's not just a tagline. Our grads are the reason why we're the top-ranked public school for public affairs in the nation, and our reputation is built on the work of those who go out into the real world and make an impact by making that world a better place. One such graduate is today's guest, Indiana State Representative Cherrish Pryor. Representative Pryor earned a bachelor's degree in criminal justice from Indiana University Bloomington and a master's degree in public affairs from the O'Neill School at IU Indianapolis. She has served as a legislator in the Indiana House of Representatives since November of 2008. She is currently the Indiana House Democratic Caucus floor leader and is a member of the Indiana Black Legislative Caucus. Representative Pryor also is a member of the Budget Writing Ways and Means Committee, as well as the Elections and Apportionment Committee and the Utilities, Energy, and Telecommunications Committee. Representative Pryor also is the 2025 recipient of the IU Indianapolis Distinguished Alumni Award, the highest honor bestowed by the O'Neill School on the IUI campus. First off, congratulations, Representative Pryor, on the award, and thanks so much for joining us.
No problem. Thank you for having me, and I am elated that I won that award last night.
Well, I wanted to first off just start, how did you find your way to the O'Neill School? What drew you here there? Basically, what was your path to coming to IU and the O'Neill School?
Well, I started out actually at what was then IPFW in Fort Wayne. I had graduated from college, went back to Fort Wayne, and wanted to continue my education and was doing some research, and I stumbled up on what was then called SPIA at the IPFW campus, and I thought, hey, this is a perfect fit. I wanted to do more in service in my community. But I was like, you know what? Let me start on the certificate program.
Okay.
So I started with the certificate program, actually. And I really enjoyed the program and applied for the master's program after I finished the certificate program. But I moved to Indianapolis in 1995, so I transferred from the IPFW or Purdue Fort Wayne now.
Right.
I transferred from that campus to what was then IUI, which is now IU Indianapolis. It's been a lot of name changes.
That's right. But it's always at O'Neill School is a graduate for is the key.
It's the my award is O'Neill, all the way O'Neill.
Yeah, I graduated from the IU School of Journalism, which is now the media school. So everything, everything changes over time, but IU is the important part of it.
Yeah, you got to learn. I think, even with public affairs, you kind of learn that you can't be rigid. You have to go with the flow, and things change over time. It's not that it's bad. It's some things get modified and change for the better. Doesn't mean
Absolutely.
that it changed the foundation, but the foundation sometimes get weak, and you have to sturdy up that foundation.
Well, what motivated you to enter public service, particularly when going into local and state government?
Mm-hmm. Well, what interested me really was my grandmother. She was involved. I grew up in Mississippi until I was almost 16 and then moved to Fort Wayne. But my grandmother was involved in getting people registered to vote. We would drive around Marshall County, and my grandmother would knock on doors and get people to register to vote. And she worked the polls, and she had my aunt and I at the polls. If there were rallies that were happening, my grandmother had us at everything, any and everything. And so I think just her being around her and seeing what she did and making an influence, whether it was integrating schools for her kids or making sure and getting the buses to pick up Black kids in Mississippi, seeing and knowing her do that, it just sparked something in me later on in my life I don't know at the time, obviously you being young and 10 or 12 years old or and even younger than that, seeing someone do that, it's important, but you don't quite understand the extent of what it is. But as I got older and went to college, I really understood what it was that she was doing and knocking down those doors for opportunity. And so I think that just really stuck with me. And I always tell my grandmother she's the reason why I chose politics as my career. So if she has a problem with it, it's because of her.
So what was it that drew you to the area that you were really focused on? You want to get into politics, but you have to try to kind of find the right way. What kind of drew you down your path?
So I was when I graduated IU, I went back to Fort Wayne and I wanted to do some community service. So I started volunteering with NAACP. And there I met one of my mentors who's no longer with us, Mr. Charles Redd. And he was talking about this organization called the Indiana Democrat African American Caucus. And they were having a meeting in Muncie. He was like, you need to come to this meeting with me. So we went to Muncie. And at that particular meeting, I met Representative Bill Crawford. And he talked about the internship programs with the House of Representatives. And I needed to call his assistant and get the information. So I called his assistant, applied, got the internship, and moved to Indianapolis. And the rest is history, as they would say. From there, working for the State Student Assistance Commission, lobbying for the Indianapolis Chamber of Commerce, which I enjoyed that as well. Working for the City County Council, and then going on to the council and then as state legislator. So, I've really been fortunate that I've had some great people that have come into my life that I've met that have told me about opportunities, and I've taken advantage of those opportunities, and that's why I am where I am today.
What are some of the most rewarding aspects of serving, as a representative, and what has been some of the challenges for you?
The most rewarding to me is really my constituents. When I always work the polls and have constituents come up and they tell me about a situation that my office may have helped them with. That is really most rewarding to me because I tell my staff, constituent services is the utmost importance.
Sure.
I never want to be out in the community and someone tells me they didn't get a response from me. So when I get that feedback from my constituents that they have been helped, that's most important. That means a lot, the world to me. Also, when I get letters of thank yous from people in my community, if I send them a certificate or acknowledge them for something, and then I get the thank you card back. And some of them, most of them are, the older senior citizens, older people, and they're handwritten in cursive, which,
sure.
So have to learn cursive now. But when I see those, that means a lot that someone would take the time out to go out and buy a thank you card and then put it in the mail and write a note.
Sure.
So that means a lot to me. So, people think that there are small things, but they're to me, they're really big and significant to me. The most discouraging thing, I think sometimes for me is the political negativity that seems to be permeating right now. That has been discouraging as far as I think the ability to just sometimes get stuff done that's really in a positive way for individuals, because sometimes people see stuff as a Republican or a Democrat, even if it's a good public policy piece.
Right.
And so that is I think that's a problem. So that is the most challenging and discouraging piece when people when we see things as a Republican or a Democrat and just don't proceed or move forward with a good public policy simply because it's not from your same political party.
What do you think people get wrong about politicians? Just when they think of politicians, what do you think that people get wrong?
I think that people get wrong that, and even though I just mentioned about, sometimes we as legislators get caught up in the Democrat or Republican, but I think people will be surprised that a lot of our legislation is nonpartisan, and that I have genuinely good relationships with some of my Republican colleagues. And I don't think that people realize that, you have some extremes on either side, but when you get to the people who are moderate, those are really good relationships. And I think sometimes people don't really know and understand that. And that's one thing people do need to know that, and quite frankly, sometimes we have legislation where even though the Democrats are in the super minority, there are times when the Democrats are needed for bills. So because some bills are not 100% either way, so you're still needed even if you're in a super minority.
I just know I hear a lot of people say that, politicians, they don't care about their constituents. And I just wholeheartedly disagree with that kind of thing because, even if you disagree with somebody, they do want to generally try to do what's best. They just have maybe you disagree with the way they're going about it. But that general caring, I think, is something that's why people serve.
Yeah. And people do get that, or you get the people that think, oh, they're all bad except for my person. And so you're right, that's not the case. And I know just seeing my colleagues and even on city county council, because it takes sacrifices, in the evenings, when you have kids or young kids and you're not with them at their activities because you're at a community meeting or you go into an event that your constituents are having or that your neighborhood is having. And so, you're making those sacrifices. And people are doing that because they genuinely and sincerely want to serve and want to learn too, and want to hear back from their constituents. And like you said, you're not going to agree with the person, your husband or your wife or your kids 100% of the time.
Right.
And so my constituents, regardless of how much they like me, they're not going to agree with me 100% of the time. But do you agree with me most of the time? Right. And do you understand that even though you may disagree with me, I'm still doing what is in the best of the community in the state as well. And we have to sometimes agree to disagree. But know that if you need something, I'm still going to be there to support you because, that's my job. And I want to do my job well, even if you don't agree with everything that I'm doing.
What stands out from your time at the O'Neill School? Kind of what stands out inside and outside the classroom, or what are some of the lessons that you believe you learned?
Inside the classroom, I think, wow. Inside, I think the good professors that I had, and also some of the friendships that I made as well, that I still have to this day. The other thing I think about, some of the classes that I have and some of the things that I learned, I still use some of those skill sets today. And so it's learning in the classroom, but it's lifelong learning because those things are still useful for me today, and not just the work that I do, but my life just in general. It's, the things that I learned are not just segmented professionally, personally, they worked well for me also. So I think that's the big thing inside. of O'Neill. And I outside again, just the friendships that I've created with people, and I just when I talk to people and I tell them about my master's degree and where I got it from, just hearing people talk positively about the school. Um, I enjoy hearing that as well. It's always good to hear, hey, yeah, that's a good school. I heard about that program.
Yeah.
Can you tell me more about that program? Yeah, you need to think about graduating and going to school in that program and getting into that program. Or someone tells me, oh, I'm going to law school. I'm going to, this get my MPA or this or that. Well, have you thought about doing a dual master's degree?
Yeah.
So I always tell people that.
What drives you today?
What drives me? Knowing that there's still a whole lot of work to do. Even though I think that I've done a lot, there's so much need out there. And I think that I still have a lot more to give and to offer my constituents in the state. And as long as I can do something to help people, I'm here to do it.
What does it mean to you personally to have received the Distinguished Alumni Award?
It means a lot because I never thought that I would be coming back to O'Neill to receive an award. I do what I do because I enjoy it and because I want to sincerely help people. But to see that other people recognize that and they want to acknowledge me for doing what I enjoy doing, that means a lot. I haven't done or never thought that I would get any recognition for doing any of this, and I don't do it for recognition. So it was quite a surprise, quite frankly, because when you're doing this work, you just go on date every day. You're getting up every day knowing that there's something else you have to do. You're looking at my calendar 1 day ahead, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days ahead, and looking at all the things that I have to do. I never think about, okay, I'm doing all this. How am I going to be rewarded for it?
Sure.
That's not why I do the work. It's just, I got these things to do. Let me do it. I got these things to do. Let me do it. And so the fact that other people saw that and acknowledged it it really means a lot. This award is at the top.
What advice would you have for someone who's graduating from the O'Neill School or someone who's thinking to come study here? What advice would you have to them about just public service and whether or not it is something that they should pursue?
The advice that I would tell people is that if you have a heart of service and wanting to help people, then this is a career for you. This is a path for you. I would also tell people to take advantage of all the opportunities that are out there. If there is an opportunity, a scholarship or internship, to really look at it and think about that opportunities, because it opens doors for you. And it opened doors because it allows you to network and to meet people. And a big piece of being a public servant and being an elected official is the ability to network and to know people and to be a resource, because you may not know the answer, but if you know where to go and get the answer, and if you can guide the person there, that's really helpful. So I think it's really important for people to take advantage of those opportunities because they're going to open doors. Even the interns that we have, people can come. Oftentimes they do a staffer, a legislative assistant, because I was a legislative assistant after my short stint as an intern. And then you can become a lobbyist as well, or chief of staff. There's so many opportunities that are available for people. And that's why it's so important to never close the door on something that's staring you in the face, because that could be the pathway to your career, maybe that you hadn't thought of.
Representative Pryor, congratulations on your success and on the award, and thanks so much for joining us.
And not a problem. I was glad to do it.
Well, that's all the time we have today on O'Neill Speaks. O'Neill Speaks is the official podcast of the Paul H. O'Neill School of Public and Environmental Affairs. All opinions and comments on O'Neill Speaks belong to the host and guests of the O'Neill School and don't necessarily reflect those of the school itself. Music for O'Neill Speaks is by Manos Mars. Be sure to subscribe to O'Neill Speaks on Apple Podcasts or on your favorite podcatcher app so you don't miss an episode. We're out of time, but for now, and for the O'Neill School, I'm Ken Bykoff saying thanks for listening.